Chosen one. Listen carefully. You did not stumble upon this message by chance. Heaven pressed pause so that these words could reach you. October 9th is not just another square on the calendar. It is a dividing line. On one side is the destiny God has been preparing, and on the other side is the ruin that comes from a single overlooked mistake. This mistake will not appear loud or obvious. It will not come dressed as rebellion. It will creep in quietly, disguised as hesitation, disguised as delay. And if you treat this day as ordinary, if you silence conviction, you risk dismantling what heaven has been carefully arranging for years. Picture this. You are walking through a valley at night. The stars are hidden. The silence is heavy. Suddenly, a lantern is lit in your hand. That light reveals the narrow path ahead, the one you almost missed in the darkness. October 9th is that lantern moment. But if you put the lantern down, if you say, maybe tomorrow, you will wander off the path meant only for you. Let me tell you of one chosen one who faced this. She prayed for years for an open door, fasting, weeping, waiting. At last, the opportunity came, an invitation that carried destiny in its folds. Yet fear whispered, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if this isn't God? She hesitated, and the door closed. Years passed before another chance appeared. Her tears became her teacher. Hesitation is costly. Delay is dangerous. Chosen one. October 9th is your open door. Will you hesitate, or will you step through? The truth is, you have already sensed this stirring every restless night, every quiet tear, every time you felt the weight of rejection. These were not signs of abandonment, but signs of preparation. God was shaping you for this very hour. But the adversary knows it too. He sets snares of distraction, of voices pulling you in every direction but the right one. He cannot erase your calling. So he tries to exhaust your focus. You are like an arrow drawn back in a bow. The tension you've felt, the stretching, the waiting, it was not to break you, but to prepare for a launch farther than you ever imagined. The release is coming, and October 9th is the day of trajectory. But if you let go too soon, if you refuse to release when heaven says release, the arrow falls short. Hear what is written in the ancient words of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. He will make your path straight. That is your compass. That is your guarantee. If you trust and submit, the path opens. If you lean on hesitation, it closes. So I speak directly to you. Do not wait until October 9th to decide who you are. Seal it now. Declare it now. Refuse to be silent. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. If your spirit is leaping as you hear this, then respond as an act of faith. Type the number 999 inches, the comments. This number is a prophetic seal, marking the end of delay and the beginning of your appointed season. And if you have not yet done so, I urge you, stay connected. Subscribe to this channel. Like and share this message. Not for vanity, not for numbers, but because someone you know is one whisper away from making the same costly mistake. Be the vessel that carries this light to them. October 9th is approaching. The choice is before you, and heaven is watching for your answer. October 9th. will not wait for your convenience. Time does not slow down for the hesitant, and destiny does not bend for the double-minded. This moment calls you to rise in clarity, not confusion. Remember, hesitation may feel safe, but safety outside of God's timing is nothing more than a hidden trap. You are chosen to walk a path others cannot see, and on that path, every step of obedience becomes a seed sown into eternity. When you trust God now, you are not only securing your own breakthrough, you are also breaking chains for those connected to you. Your faith ripples outward, touching lives you may never even meet. So, let this message sink deeper than your ears. Let it brand itself on your spirit. October 9th is not a warning to fear, it is an invitation to act. Do not delay. Do not dismiss. Step forward. For your preparation is about to meet its moment. The trap that waits for you on October 9th will not come with thunder or lightning. It will arrive quietly, disguised as something harmless, even appealing. Darkness rarely confronts you head-on. It whispers, it tempts, it presents what looks like opportunity but hides corrosion beneath. The enemy cannot create destiny. He can only counterfeit it. He offers shadows of the real, imitations of the true, and the most dangerous part? These counterfeits look so close to the genuine that without discernment you may embrace destruction, thinking it is blessing. Picture a traveler in the desert, parched. He sees an oasis shimmering in the distance. He runs toward it. But when he arrives, he finds nothing but sand. The mirage deceived him. That is how the trap of October 9th works. What you see may glimmer, but without spiritual clarity, you will grasp emptiness. There was once a woman who prayed for years for the right people in her life. At last, someone appeared, saying all the right words. She thought her prayers had been answered. But beneath the charm was manipulation. She ignored the quiet warning in her heart. And months later, she was left in regret. She had embraced the counterfeit instead of waiting for the authentic. This is what the adversary desires for you, to take the bait, to settle for good enough, to miss the best. Counterfeit blessings collapse under time. They do not endure, and yet God has already been whispering to you. Nudges, convictions, inner checks, they were not random. They were heaven guiding you away from traps. Do not dismiss them. The still voice is not weakness, it is protection. As it is written in the letter of James, chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given. Chosen one, your assignment is too weighty for cheap substitutes. Your calling is too valuable for detours. The trap will not wear darkness, it will come clothed in light. Even Scripture says Satan masquerades as an angel of light. That is why discernment is not optional. Think of a sculptor chiseling marble. From the outside, it looks like destruction. Shards fall, edges break, but only the sculptor knows the masterpiece hidden inside. If you cling too quickly to appearances, you may call incomplete things finished and settle for less. The test for you is not recognizing obvious evil, it is resisting what looks almost right. On October 9th, the counterfeit will be convincing. It may align with your desires, but desires without discernment lead to ruin. Look back over your life. How many times has rushing ahead left you wounded? How many times has ignoring that inner whisper led to regret? This time is different. The cost of error is greater. So what must you do? Guard your heart. Measure every voice and opportunity against eternity. Do not rush to grasp what shines. Wait until what is genuine proves itself. Truth always endures. Counterfeits always unravel. Others may tell you, just take it. Don't overthink. They may laugh at your caution. But you are not like them. You are chosen. What is acceptable for others is fatal for you. Your destiny demands a higher standard. The night before the dawn is always the darkest. And right before the authentic arrives, the counterfeit often comes first. It is not a test of God's faithfulness, but of your discernment. October 9th is not the day for you to stumble. It is the day for you to stand. The trap will be subtle, but you are not blind. The Spirit has been sharpening your vision. If you trust that inner whisper, you will see clearly. Do not let hunger for breakthrough make you reckless. Do not let impatience steal what is truly yours. Refuse the mirage. Stand firm. For what is real will endure long after October 9th has passed. October 9th is more than a test of timing. It is a test of sight. Your eyes must look beyond the surface, beyond the glitter of appearances, and into the eternal substance of truth. The counterfeit will sparkle for a moment, but the authentic carries weight that cannot fade. Remember, patience is not weakness, it is strength in disguise. Every pause, every moment you wait upon God, is sharpening your discernment like a sword honed on the stone. What feels like delay is actually equipping. The one who waits faithfully will not be fooled by shadows. So stand with clarity, step with conviction. Do not bow to pressure. Do not grasp too quickly. What God has for you will remain. And when it arrives, no power of darkness will be able to take it away. Chosen one. Heaven interrupts you again. What you are hearing now is not coincidence. And it is not noise in the feed. It is a direct call. The danger of October 9th is not just the trap of counterfeits, it is the voices around you that try to blur your vision. Voices of distraction will rise louder in these days. Some will sound like friends giving advice. Some will sound like reason. Some will even sound spiritual. But their intent will be to pull you off alignment. The most dangerous voice is not always the enemy's roar. Sometimes it is the whisper that tells you, "This doesn't matter. You're overreacting. You can relax." End quote. But you cannot relax when eternity is at stake. You cannot dull your hearing when heaven is trying to sharpen it. There is a story of a man named Eliab, brother of David. When David came to the battlefield carrying food, Eliab mocked him, telling him to go back to the sheep. Eliab's words were dismissive, distracting, designed to silence David. If David had listened to those voices, Goliath would never have fallen. The giant was slain not by strength, but by the courage to ignore the wrong voices. And this is what you must understand. October 9th will test not only your faith but also your ears. Will you discern which voices to obey? The Spirit spoke long ago through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 6, verse 16. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. When? That is exactly where you stand at a crossroads. One path is noisy, filled with opinions, lures, distractions. The other path is narrow, quieter, but it carries the peace of God. To walk it, you must silence competing voices. Think of your life as a river. When it flows in one direction, it is powerful, unstoppable. But when it splits into many streams, it becomes shallow, losing its force. Distractions fragment your river. Voices pull your current apart until what once was powerful becomes weak. If you want to keep your strength, you must protect your flow. Now, I want you to pause and do something small but prophetic. In the comments, write, "No more noise." Just 3 words, but weighty. By writing it, you are making a declaration not just for yourself, but against the powers of distraction. You are saying to heaven and to earth, I refuse confusion. I reject the voices that lead me astray. I will walk the path of clarity. And here is why it matters. Words seal things. When you write this, you are training your spirit to align with what heaven is already speaking over you. You are planting a seed with your declaration. Just as David's words to Goliath, "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands," were not empty talk, but prophetic truth. Your words carry power. October 9th will reveal which voices you obey. Some will walk in clarity, others in confusion. But you, chosen one, are being warned now, so you will not stumble. Guard your ears. Guard your heart. Refuse the noise. When the distractions come, remember this message. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every counsel deserves your trust. The only voice that will lead you safely is the one that has guided you since the beginning, the voice of the Lord. October 9th is not simply about avoiding distraction. It is about learning to recognize the voice that carries life. Many voices can speak to you, but not all carry the weight of eternity. Some flatter, some confuse, some demand. Only one voice leads you to peace, and that is the Lord's. When you declare, "No more noise," you are not just rejecting distraction, you are positioning your heart. You are saying, "I will no longer let fear, doubt, or opinion dictate my choices. I will tune my ear to heaven alone." This act of agreement shifts the atmosphere around you. It breaks the power of manipulation that rides on human voices. Think of it like tuning an instrument. When a guitar string is off, even slightly, the entire sound is wrong. But when tuned correctly, harmony is restored. Your spirit is the same. The voices you allow shape your tuning. Distraction makes you dissonant. God's voice brings harmony. On October 9th, your alignment will matter more than ever. So do not dismiss this moment as just another warning. See it as a prophetic preparation. When the day arrives, you will not be caught off guard, for you have already chosen clarity over chaos. Chosen one. What often destroys divine preparation is not the storm outside, but the voices within and around you. And the most subtle of all are the counterfeit voices, those that mimic truth but are born in deception. October 9th is a moment when those voices will rise, seeking to blur your vision, urging you toward choices that look safe but are poisoned at their root. Counterfeit voices rarely sound like lies. They echo fragments of wisdom, wrapped in logic, even dressed in spiritual language. They aim to confuse and wear you down until you accept less than what God has destined. Think of Eve in the garden. The serpent did not roar. He questioned gently, "Did God really say?" His words sounded harmless, thoughtful, but hidden in them was ruin. October 9th carries the same kind of test. If you are not anchored, you may mistake poison for nourishment. Counterfeit voices often come through people who mean well, a friend urging you to take the easy path, a mentor suggesting compromise just this once, even family steering you away from the risk of faith. Their intentions may not be evil, but their counsel can derail obedience. That is why discernment must weigh every word, as the word of God speaks in Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 12. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death. Len, how often has the easier path turned hardest? How often has logical advice left you emptier than before? This is the danger of voices without divine authority. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One road shouts, "Security this way." Another flashes, "Comfort here." A third calls, "Everyone is going this direction." Almost hidden is a narrow path with no sign, only a quiet pull in your spirit. To take it requires courage to ignore the noise. There was once a man who longed for success. An opportunity came. Celebrated by friends and family, it promised gain. But something inside whispered unease. He silenced it and walked through the door. Months later, it all collapsed: his reputation, finances, trust. The loudest voices had drowned out the quiet truth. This is the battlefield of October 9th. Not armies, but voices. They will not shout, "Rebel against God." Instead, they will murmur, "Take the shortcut. Don't wait so long. God understands." The question is not God's faithfulness. He is always faithful. The question is whether you will recognize His voice among the many. This is why you were prepared in hidden seasons, the nights of prayer, the silence, the unanswered questions. They trained your ear. You were learning to know His whisper when all others fade. That intimacy is what will keep you steady. Think of sheep in a field. Strangers call, but they scatter. When the shepherd speaks, they move as one. Recognition comes through closeness, not chance. Jesus said, "My sheep know my voice." That knowing is your safeguard. Counterfeit voices always offer what feels easier, faster, safer. But your destiny was never meant to be easy or safe. It was meant to be holy and eternal. That is why you cannot lend your ears carelessly. The wrong voice can cost years. October 9th is the day to prove what you have learned. When the noise rises, do not panic. When counsel conflicts, do not rush. Stand still until the shepherd's whisper comes. His guidance will not manipulate or confuse, even if He calls you to risk. His peace will rest upon it. You are chosen not because you always hear perfectly, but because you are willing to wait for clarity. That waiting is your weapon. While others chase every sound, you will hold steady and follow the voice that leads to life. So do not fear the counterfeit voices of October 9th. See them for what they are: distractions, smoke, illusions. You were trained for this. Silence the noise, and the true path will open before you. October 9th is not meant to terrify you, but to awaken you. The counterfeit voices may sound convincing, but their power ends the moment you discern them. Awareness is victory, and every lie loses strength when exposed to light. Your preparation in hidden seasons was never wasted. Every lonely prayer, every tear shed in silence, Every moment you felt unheard, these were sharpening your ears to hear beyond the noise. Now you will see why God kept you set apart, so stand in confidence. You are not defenseless, and you are not alone. Heaven has already armed you with discernment. When the day arrives, your clarity will silence the counterfeits, and your obedience will unlock the path designed only for you. Chosen one, you have walked through valleys most people could not endure. You have been misunderstood, pushed aside, and at times it felt as if heaven was silent. Yet, here you are, still breathing, still searching, still holding on to hope, even when the world told you to let go. That alone is proof that you are not ordinary, you are chosen. But hear this warning clearly. One of the greatest dangers in this season is spiritual blindness. Not the blindness of the eyes, but the blindness of the heart. When conviction is ignored, when whispers of the Spirit are silenced, the heart begins to grow numb. And once numbness settles in, you stop noticing the difference between what is holy and what is counterfeit. Blindness is not sudden, it is gradual. It begins with one delay, one compromise, one excuse. Just this once, just tomorrow, just later. And each time you push away the prompting of God, another layer of veil covers your eyes. October 9th is a turning point. If you let these veils multiply, you may find yourself unable to see what heaven is revealing right in front of you. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who loved God with all her heart, but she became weary in waiting. When doors did not open quickly, she told herself, "Maybe I misheard. Maybe I should just settle." Each time she ignored the gentle conviction, her vision blurred. By the time her true blessing appeared, she was too blinded by disappointment to recognize it. The gift passed by her doorstep, but she did not notice. Chosen one, do not let this be your story. Do not let spiritual blindness rob you of what has been prepared. The scriptures remind us in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 4, "The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers, so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ." If the enemy works so hard to blind minds, it is because he knows what you are about to step into. He fears your clarity. He fears your obedience. He fears your light. That is why he works subtly, not always through temptation, but through dullness, slowly dimming your fire until you stop noticing what heaven is saying. But you, chosen one, are different. Your eyes are being opened right now. The scales are falling. Conviction is not your enemy, it is your gift. Every time you feel the tug in your spirit, every time you sense the whisper of, "Not this way," that is heaven's mercy. Do not ignore it. Embrace it. It is the very proof that God has not abandoned you. Now pause and think with me. Just as a lighthouse stands tall on the shore, shining its beam into the fog to guide ships home, this very message is like that light. And just as sailors need the lighthouse to keep burning, these words continue to shine only because someone chooses to fuel the fire. That is why I gently and sincerely invite you. If this message is opening your eyes, then let your click of like, your simple act of share, your choice to subscribe, be the way you carry the flame further. Each action is like adding oil to the lamp, ensuring the light does not go out. And for those who feel stirred in a deeper way, listen closely. Your donation is not a fee, not a demand. but a seed. It is like handing a traveler water for the journey, or placing another log on the fire so that those lost in the cold may find warmth. What seems small in your hand becomes part of an eternal ripple, touching lives you may never meet. But hear me clearly again, this will never be a condition. The Word of God is freely given and will remain so. Your donation is simply a voluntary offering, like a candle willingly placed beside another, multiplying the light in the darkness. So, yes, like, share, subscribe. These are not empty gestures, but sparks that spread the flame. And if your heart leans toward giving, then do so with freedom and joy. Knowing your seed becomes part of the story of rescue for someone else. And as you walk toward October 9th, remember this: blindness will not overtake you. Your eyes will remain clear, your heart awake, and your path illuminated. And the light that shines on your steps may very well be the same light you chose to keep burning for another soul. Chosen one. Every turning point in destiny is marked by a response. It is never enough to simply hear the warning or feel the stirring. You must also declare where you stand. October 9th is not just about recognizing the traps, but about sealing your alignment with heaven. Throughout Scripture, God often asked his people for an outward sign of an inward decision. Israel lifted up stones as memorials. Prophets acted out symbolic gestures to reveal invisible truths. Even Jesus called his disciples to leave their nets as proof of their commitment. These acts were not meaningless. They were prophetic declarations that carried weight in the unseen realm. Your response today is just as powerful. It may look small on the outside, but in the spirit it speaks loudly. When you declare your faith publicly, you are drawing a line in the sand. You are telling both heaven and hell, I belong to God's path, not the counterfeit. Oh, think of it like a key turning in a lock. On its own, the key seems insignificant, just a small piece of metal. But when it is turned, it unlocks an entire door. Your prophetic act is that turning. What looks like a small response opens the way for what God has prepared. There was once a young believer who faced ridicule for standing firm in her faith. Everyone told her to keep quiet, to go with the flow, but she refused. She lifted her voice and declared, I follow Christ. Years later, she discovered that her small act of boldness had inspired someone else who had been secretly wavering. Her obedience had multiplied its impact. This is what your response can do. It strengthens your own spirit, but it also ignites courage in others who are silently watching. As the prophet Joel recorded in chapter 3, verse 14, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. That is exactly where you stand, at a valley of decision. And in that valley, your words matter. Silence is still a choice, but it is not the choice of the chosen. The chosen are marked by courage, by clarity, by declaration. So here is what I ask of you now. In the comments, write the number 4,444. Why this number? Because 4 is the number of stability and foundation, the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 winds, the 4 rivers of Eden. When you write 4,444, you are declaring, I will be established. I will be rooted. I will not be shaken by the winds of deception. Do not treat this as superstition. Treat it as symbolism. It is an outward act of an inward decision, a prophetic stamp on your journey. And every time your eyes see that number, you will remember, my foundation is in God alone. Think of a tree planted by streams of water. Storms come, winds howl, but the roots go deep, and the tree stands unmoved. That is what this declaration is. Roots going deeper. Every number typed is like driving a stake into the ground, saying, "Here I stand, and I will not be moved." No. And perhaps you wonder, does typing a number really matter? To the world, it may look trivial, but heaven has always honored small acts of faith. The widow's 2 coins, the shepherd boy's sling and stone, the woman's touch on the hem of Jesus' robe. What looked small in human eyes became monumental in God's plan. This is why your response is not meaningless. It is an echo in eternity. It is you refusing to stay passive while heaven is calling you active. October 9th is approaching, and the counterfeit will try to shake you. But your declaration today becomes a shield for tomorrow. The moment you align in faith, angels move, heaven records, and darkness trembles. So I say again, write 4,444. Do it not as ritual, but as prophecy. Do it not for me, but for you, for your spirit, for your future, for your destiny. Let it be the moment you say, no more wavering, no more hesitation. My foundation is unshakable. And when you press that comment, let it also be a prayer. Whisper as you write it, Lord, establish me, root me in your truth, keep me from stumbling. That is how you seal your obedience. The valley of decision is before you. Chosen one, do not walk through it in silence. Let your voice be heard. Let your stand be marked. And let heaven see you rooted, ready, and unshakable. Chosen one. The weight of your destiny explains the intensity of your battles. You have felt pressures that others cannot understand, seasons that seemed unfair, delays that stretched longer than you thought you could endure, and loneliness that pressed deep into your soul. Yet all of it was shaping you for a purpose greater than you could imagine. The enemy has always fought you harder, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous. Darkness fears what you carry. You are not ordinary soil. You are ground prepared for uncommon seed. That is why storms have raged against you. That is why betrayals cut so deeply. The enemy saw what was planted in you and tried to uproot it before it could grow. Think of Joseph. He dreamed dreams from heaven, but his brothers despised him. He was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, imprisoned for years. Yet every injustice was secretly part of God's plan to prepare him to stand before Pharaoh and save a nation. What seemed like rejection was actually redirection. What looked like delay was hidden training. Your life carries this same rhythm. Every tear shed in secret. Every no you endured. Every closed door that frustrated you. They were chiseling tools in the hands of the Master. The weight of destiny demands a stronger foundation, and God has been building that foundation inside of you. As the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11 declares, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Oh, you are not being punished, you are being trained. You are not being overlooked, You are being hidden until the right time. October 9th is part of that unveiling. The moment when the long preparation begins to make sense. Think of an arrow pulled back in the hands of an archer. The more it is drawn back, the farther it will fly. That tension, you feel the waiting, the stretching. The pressure is not a sign of failure. It is proof that you are being aimed. Soon the release will come, and the distance you cover will surprise even you. There was once a young man who thought his waiting was wasted. He compared himself to others, always asking why his time had not yet arrived. But when his season came, he realized that every delay had sharpened him. Every disappointment had humbled him. Every hardship had toughened him. Without them, he would have crumbled under the weight of opportunity. Instead, he carried it with strength. This is what your story will be. Others may have taken shortcuts, but their roots will not hold. You, however, will endure. You will not be shaken because your roots go deep, forged in fire and tears. Chosen one, you must stop viewing your trials as accidents. They were appointments. Stop seeing your pain as punishment. It was preparation. Stop envying the speed of others. They may sprint for a season, but you were built to endure for eternity. Look at the eagle. While smaller birds scatter in storms, the eagle spreads its wings and uses the wind to rise higher. What crushes others carries it upward. That is you. The very pressures that seemed designed to destroy you are the winds that will lift you. You carry a light that terrifies darkness. When you walk into a room, you may not see it, but the atmosphere shifts. Your presence disrupts plans the enemy worked long to build, and this is why you have been so opposed, so resisted. It was never about your past. It was always about your future. October 9th is the moment you must remember all this. When the weight feels heavy, remind yourself, I was not chosen for comfort, but for calling. I was not set apart to blend in, but to stand out. The pain I endured was never wasted. It was forging me into a vessel that cannot be broken. Your destiny explains your battles, and your endurance proves your strength. Stand firm, for what you carry is not only for you, but for generations to come. October 9th will not be the end of your struggle, but the unveiling of its meaning. Every sleepless night, every whispered prayer, every hidden wound will rise like a testimony that cannot be denied. What once felt like wasted years will suddenly look like the blueprint of heaven's plan. Do not shrink back when the weight presses down. Remember, diamonds are only formed under pressure, and you are being polished to shine in places others cannot endure. Your destiny is the evidence that you were never ordinary. You were chosen one. The enemy's most effective strategy is not open attack, but subtle sabotage. He knows he cannot erase the mark God has placed on you. So instead, he aims to weaken you through quiet compromises, small decisions that feel harmless but carry hidden poison. Subtle sabotage often begins with thoughts like, "It's not that serious. Others do it. Surely God will understand." The enemy does not need you to abandon your faith with one dramatic act. He only needs you to drift little by little, until you wake up far from the place God called you to stand. Think of a great ship at sea. If the compass is off by just 1 degree, the ship may seem on course at first. But given enough time, it will arrive hundreds of miles away from its destination. That is how compromise works. A single degree off, tolerated daily, will eventually carry you to a place you never intended to go. Let me share a story. There was once a man who longed for influence. At first, he was faithful in prayer, faithful in integrity, but little by little, he made small concessions, laughing at jokes he once would have corrected, cutting corners he once avoided. None of it looked catastrophic, but over time, those small cracks widened. By the time his big opportunity arrived, his character could not hold it. He collapsed under the weight of what he had once prayed for. Sabotage looks harmless. That late-night habit you excuse. That relationship you know is not aligned, but continue anyway. That bitterness you nurture instead of releasing. Seems small, but each is a thread the enemy uses to weave a net around your destiny. The Word of God warns us in the Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15, "Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom." It is not the wild storm that ruins the vineyard, but the small foxes slipping in unnoticed. Likewise, it is not always dramatic sins that derail destiny, but the quiet compromises tolerated in secret. Consider the image of erosion. A cliff does not fall in a day. Rain falls gently. Winds blow softly. And over time the rock weakens until suddenly it collapses. Subtle sabotage works the same way. The pressure builds slowly until one day the foundation crumbles. That is why vigilance is not optional for you. It is life or death for your calling. October 9th is dangerous, not because of obvious rebellion, but because of the small decisions that will be offered to you as safe. A shortcut that promises speed, a compromise that offers comfort, an excuse that delays obedience. Each one may look insignificant, but each is a fox in your vineyard. Chosen one, you must guard your vineyard. You must guard your mind. Guard your habits. Guard your company. The cost of compromise is always greater than it first appears. What begins as a seed tolerated grows into a tree that overshadows your destiny. There was once a believer who justified bitterness, saying, "I am only protecting myself." But that root grew until every relationship became poisoned by suspicion. What began as self-protection ended as isolation. That is what subtle sabotage does. It promises safety while slowly suffocating your soul. But the good news is this: you are not helpless against it. You carry authority to uproot every fox, to align every degree of your compass, to stand firm even when the pressure whispers otherwise. Every time you choose truth in the small things, you close the door to sabotage. Every time you surrender the quiet corners of your life, you fortify your destiny. Remember this: integrity is not built in public but in private. The choices you make when no one is watching shape the future. You will live when everyone is watching. If you want to stand in clarity on October 9th, you must decide now that no hidden compromise will be allowed to linger. The enemy will come softly. But you have been warned. Pay attention to the small things, because they are never small. They are seeds either of sabotage or of strength. Which one you nurture will determine what harvest you carry into the next season. So remain awake, remain sharp, and refuse to let the little foxes steal the vineyard that God planted in you. So, when October 9th arrives, do not only watch for the storms, watch for the foxes. Pay attention to the tiny whispers, the seemingly harmless habits, the overlooked thoughts. For victory belongs not just to those who win great battles, but to those who guard the small gates faithfully. Chosen one. Heaven interrupts your path again. The truth is this: you are not scrolling by coincidence. This is not random content. This is a moment where eternity leans close to speak directly to your spirit. On October 9th, you will face not just distractions or compromises, but a holy interruption. When God intervenes, He often does so quietly, not with thunder, but with a whisper that stops you in your tracks. Right now, this very moment, you are in that interruption. Think of Moses before the burning bush. The fire did not shout. It simply burned without being consumed. Curiosity made Moses turn aside. And in that turning, he encountered God's voice. That is what is happening now. You have turned aside, and the message is speaking to you. Many overlook these interruptions. They say, "It's just a coincidence, just a feeling." But those who recognize them step into destiny. The difference between those who wander and those who walk in purpose is their response to divine interruptions, as it is proclaimed in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 20. "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens, I will come in." God does not force the door open. He knocks. The interruption is His knock, but it is your choice whether you open. October 9th is such a knock, a day when heaven leans near, when silence feels heavy because God is speaking, when delay suddenly feels urgent because the time is short. Chosen one. You must decide now how you will answer. Do not be like those who let the knocking pass until it fades. Every ignored interruption dulls the ear. Every delayed response makes the heart heavier. But those who open quickly, those who say, "Lord, I hear you," they find intimacy that changes everything. Think of your life as a canvas. For years, strokes of pain and waiting have filled it. But October 9th is the moment when the painter adds the stroke that brings the whole image into focus. Will you allow him to finish? Or will you turn the canvas away unfinished? Now I ask you to do something simple yet powerful. In the comments, write, "Open my door." Just 3 words, but they are a doorway. By writing them, you are not merely agreeing with me, you are answering the knock of heaven. And understand why it matters. Words are not empty. They are vessels. When you type those 3 words, you are making a covenant in front of God, saying, "I recognize your voice. I welcome your interruption. I will not walk past this moment." Some will scroll past, numb to the knocking. Others will pause, write the words, and seal their response. Which will you be? The valley of decision has arrived again, and your choice is marking eternity. Remember, chosen one, interruptions are not inconveniences, they are invitations. October 9th will bring one of the greatest invitations of your life. Do not ignore it. Do not dismiss it. Answer with clarity. And watch the door swing wide to reveal what God has been preparing for you all along. October 9th is not just about avoiding danger, it is about recognizing invitation. God's interruptions are never meant to derail you, they are meant to realign you. Every pause, every knock, every whisper is heaven reaching to bring you closer. If you see it only as inconvenience, you will miss its value. But if you see it as invitation, your life will shift forever. When you typed, "Open my door," it was more than a phrase. It was a declaration of surrender. It was you saying, "Lord, I will not resist you any longer. I welcome your entry into every part of me." That is not a small thing. It is a key unlocking access to hidden rooms in your spirit where healing, clarity, and breakthrough will be released. Think of a home with many doors. Some rooms are bright and open, others are dark and locked. When you tell the Lord to open your door, you are not inviting Him into the tidy rooms, you are inviting Him into the hidden ones, into the pain, the regrets, the struggles you prefer to keep closed. And yet those are the very places where His light works most powerfully. This is why the enemy wants you to stay silent. He knows that once the door is open, chains break. He knows that once you give God permission, the Spirit will transform what shame tried to bury. Your comment, your declaration, is the crack in the wall that lets the light pour in. So, do not underestimate what just happened. October 9th may be the appointed day. But what you did now is preparation. You have already begun opening the way. When the knock comes louder, you will not hesitate. You will recognize it, because you have already practiced saying, "Lord, the door is yours." And chosen one. The greatest tragedy is not the presence of darkness, but the absence of sight. When hearts grow dull and ears grow heavy, mercy begins to step back, not because God desires to leave you, but because He will not force Himself upon those who continually resist His voice. October 9th is a line in the sand. It is a day when grace extends a hand, but hesitation may cause that hand to pass by. Mercy is like the rising sun. It breaks through, morning after morning, faithfully offering its warmth. But if one hides in the shadows long enough, refusing its light, the day passes and darkness falls again. You cannot live in the cycle of resisting the light and expect the sun to wait forever. There comes a moment when the window closes. That is the danger of ignoring conviction. As it is written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15, "Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion." This is why I speak urgently, but not to frighten you. I speak to awaken you, for you have felt those nudges in your spirit before, moments where you knew the path to take, but fear or weariness caused you to delay. Yet even in those moments, God's patience covered you. October 9th is a day when patience is still present, but the call will be sharper. Think of it like a train waiting at a station. The doors are open. The conductor is calling, but the train will not wait forever. If you hesitate too long, the doors will close, and the opportunity to move forward will pass. God's mercy is generous, but it is not meant to be ignored endlessly. And yet, chosen one, do not mistake this for hopelessness. Conviction is not punishment. It is proof of God's love for you. If He did not care, He would let you wander without warning. But the very fact you are hearing this now means heaven is fighting for you. Now, pause and consider this. The words you are hearing are like lamps set along a dark road. They burn because someone chose to keep oil in them. Without oil, even the brightest lamp fades. This message, too, continues to shine because people like you choose to value it. That is why I invite you, sincerely and without pressure. If these words are bringing light into your night, then let your like, your share, and your subscribe be your way of adding oil to the lamp. Each click keeps the light visible, not only for you, but for countless others stumbling on the same road. And for those who feel stirred deeper, there is another step, one completely voluntary. Your donation is not a requirement, it is an offering. Think of it as placing a brick in the foundation of a bridge. Each brick might look small, but together they build a crossing that others may walk safely upon. What you choose to give becomes part of the bridge that carries another soul from despair into hope. Or imagine a fire in the wilderness. A traveler, cold and weary, sees the flame and draws near. That fire continues only because someone added wood to it. Your donation is like that log on the fire, ensuring that others who are cold and broken can find warmth. And again, hear me clearly, God's word is free. This message will never be chained by money. But if your heart is moved to give, then let it be out of love, out of desire to see more lights burning, more fires spreading, more bridges built. So yes, like, share, subscribe, and if you feel it in your spirit, give, whether much or little, whether once or often, let it be your seed of light. Heaven does not measure the size of the gift, but the love behind it. Chosen one. October 9th is not about fear, but about clarity. Mercy is still here. Conviction is still speaking. The light is still shining, but it is up to you to keep it burning. When you support, when you respond, when you stand in faith, you are not just receiving light, you are becoming a keeper of it. So let your heart remain tender, your eyes remain open, and your steps remain steady. The sun of mercy is still rising for you. Step into it fully before the shadows fall, and you will walk in the warmth of destiny, prepared long before you ever knew this day would come. Chosen one. You have been marked for separation since the beginning. There is something about your life that never fit neatly into the patterns of those around you. You tried to blend in, to quiet the weight of calling, but the mark on you would not allow it. And perhaps you thought your difference was a curse. In reality, it is the sign of your crown. October 9th is not merely about avoiding traps or counterfeits. It is about embracing the truth that you are set apart. To blend in now would be to forfeit what heaven has placed within you. Destinée demande distinction. You cannot carry a unique assignment and live like everyone else. Look at the lives of those God used greatly. Noah built an ark when rain had never fallen. Abraham left his homeland without a map. Esther risked her life to enter the king's court. Each was marked by separation, and each bore ridicule for it. Yet their willingness to stand apart opened doors no ordinary path could unlock. You, too, are being asked to stand in this tension, to accept that your calling may cost you popularity, to acknowledge that your obedience may invite misunderstanding. But this is the price of separation, to be misunderstood on earth, but celebrated in heaven. The Apostle Paul wrote in Galatians, chapter 1, verse 10, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." This is the test before you. Will you seek the applause of men or the approval of God? October 9th will draw the line. Many will choose comfort, the ease of blending in, but you are called to be different, even if it costs you. Think of gold in the fire. When ordinary metal melts away, true gold remains. The furnace reveals what is real. Separation is your furnace. It strips away the illusions of acceptance so that the purity of your calling shines through. And though fire is painful, it is also the only way to reveal treasure. There was once a young believer who felt crushed by rejection. Every attempt to fit in failed. Every friendship seemed to break. She cried out, "Why can't I just be like everyone else?" Years later, she realized that God had been separating her, preparing her to walk a path others could not handle. The rejection was never punishment, it was protection. This is what you must see now. The loneliness you have endured, the misunderstandings you have carried, they were not accidents. They were signs. Signs that you were never meant to dilute your light in order to make others comfortable. Signs that your identity is larger than their approval. Imagine a lighthouse. Its very purpose is to stand apart from the shoreline, elevated and distinct. If it were hidden among ordinary houses, its light would be useless. Its height and separation make it valuable. The same is true for you. Your distinction is not weakness. It is the very thing that allows others to find direction through your example. Chosen one. Do not despise your separation. Do not waste time wishing you were ordinary. You were never created to be ordinary. The mark on your life requires sacrifice, but it also promises glory. October 9th is the day you must make peace with this truth. To walk in destiny, you must walk in distinction. To embrace your crown, you must accept your cross. Others may take shortcuts. Others may settle for half-truths. But you cannot. Your path is narrower, your standard higher, your reward greater. And when you feel the sting of rejection again, remember this. Rejection from people is often redirection from God. Every no from man is an invitation to a louder yes from heaven. You are not abandoned. You are appointed. Stand tall in your difference. Embrace the weight of your calling. And let October 9th be the moment you stop mourning your separation and start celebrating it. For what makes you different is exactly what makes you chosen. October 9th will ask you to choose whether you will keep hiding your crown or finally wear it. The time for shrinking is over. Heaven does not call you to apology, it calls you to boldness. Your separation is not a wound, it is a weapon. What once made you feel small will now be the very sign that you are set apart for greatness. So when the voices of doubt rise, remember, you were never meant to blend in. You are chosen, marked, refined, and in this season, your distinction will become your greatest strength. Chosen one. October 9th is not an ordinary date on a calendar. It is not superstition, nor a random marker of time. It is a divine appointment, an hour set aside when your obedience, your vision, and your voice will be tested. Heaven has circled this day, and the Spirit is already preparing you for it. There are moments in history when everything changes in a single act of faith. Noah stepping into the ark, Joshua marching around Jericho, the disciples leaving their nets. Each action looked small to the world, but in heaven it echoed as eternal. October 9th is such a moment for you. It will not come with fanfare. It may arrive in the silence of a decision, in the weight of a whisper, in the opportunity to obey even when no one else is watching. And in that moment, you will reveal whether you are aligned with heaven's clock or with earthly convenience. The prophet Hosea wrote in chapter 10, verse 12, "Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you. And this is the call over you now: break the ground, sow righteousness, and prepare for the rain. October 9th is not about fear, but about readiness. The heavens are preparing to pour, and you must decide if your ground is ready to receive. Imagine a farmer who delays sowing seed until the clouds darken, the rain falls, but no seed is in the soil. The ground turns muddy, wasted, because preparation was ignored. That is the tragedy of hesitation. Rain will come, but without seed, it produces no harvest. So it will be with you. If you delay obedience, if you ignore conviction, the opportunities may still appear, but you will not have the seed of faith in the ground to receive them. October 9th is your sowing moment. What you declare now will shape what you reap later. This is why your response matters. Words are seeds. Declarations are soil breakers. Every time you speak faith, you dig deeper into the hard ground of your heart, making room for heaven's rain. That is why today I ask you not to stay silent. In the comments, write the number 5,555. Why this number? Because 5 is the number of grace, and multiplied it becomes a flood of grace upon grace. When you write 5,555, you are declaring, I will not rely on my strength. I will sow into grace. I will stand in his favor. Oh, do not underestimate the power of this act. To the world, it looks like numbers on a screen, but to the Spirit, it is alignment with heaven's timing. It is you declaring that on October 9th, you will not meet the test empty-handed. You will meet it with seed in the ground. Think of David before Goliath. All he carried were stones. But in heaven, those stones were already marked with victory. Your comment, your declaration, is like a stone placed in your hand, small in appearance, but mighty when heaven empowers it. There was once a believer who struggled with doubt. Every time God nudged, she hesitated. But one day, she made a small declaration, typing words of surrender into a prayer group. That act, though simple, shifted her spirit. It opened the door for her to hear God's voice clearly again. From then on, she never underestimated the power of small obedience. Chosen one. October 9th is approaching quickly. The decision you make now, whether to respond, whether to declare, whether to sow, will echo into that day. Do not dismiss it as trivial. Every act of faith prepares the soil. So when you type 5,555, let it not be just numbers. Let it be your prayer. Lord, let your grace flood me. Let my heart be ready. Let my life be fertile ground for your rain. The farmer who sows will rejoice when the harvest comes. And you, who sow grace today, will see the showers of righteousness on the day appointed. October 9th will not be the day of loss for you. It will be the day your preparation meets God's outpouring. Stand firm. Chosen one. Sow now, declare now, and wait with faith. For the rain is coming. When you declare 5,555, you are not chasing numbers. You are anchoring your spirit. You are saying, my ground is ready. My heart is soft. My seed is planted. It is a prophetic symbol that grace will cover your weakness. and that on October 9th you will not be empty. Chosen one. You may not fully realize it, but the light you carry shakes the unseen realm. When you walk into a room, you do more than enter, you shift the atmosphere. Hell recognizes what heaven placed within you, and the powers of darkness tremble at your presence. That is why the resistance against you has been so fierce. From your earliest days, the enemy marked you as a threat. He saw glimpses of your assignment, and though he cannot read God's full plan, he recognized the glow of calling on your life. His strategy has always been the same: to wear you down, to convince you that you are powerless, to trick you into dimming the very light that terrifies him. Yet what the enemy fears most is not your past wounds, but your future glory. He knows that if you ever truly believe in the authority within you, you will become unstoppable. That is why he surrounds you with lies, whispers of unworthiness, accusations of failure, reminders of shame. All of them are shadows designed to convince you to hide your flame. But hear this truth: shadows only exist where there is light. The very fact that you feel resistance is proof of the fire burning within you. Darkness has no reason to resist what poses no threat. The warfare around you is confirmation that you are dangerous to the kingdom of hell. The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Oh, this is your command: to arise, to shine, to refuse to bury what God has ignited in you. The light you carry is not fragile, it is divine. It was spoken into you when heaven chose you, and no darkness has power to extinguish it. Think of fireflies glowing in the night. Their light may be small, yet in the darkness they are unmistakable. A single spark becomes a signal of hope. That is you, chosen one. Even when you feel small, your presence radiates more than you realize. To someone else, stumbling in the night, your glow is the sign that light still exists. There was once a man who struggled to see his own value. He believed the lies that he was insignificant. But everywhere he went, people later confessed, "Your words encouraged me. Your presence gave me strength." Though he doubted himself, the light within him quietly disrupted despair. Only later did he realize that the very resistance he faced was proof of the glory he carried. Chosen one. The enemy does not attack what is empty. He attacks what is full. He does not fight where there is nothing to lose. The weight of your battles is equal to the weight of your assignment. Imagine a city under siege. The enemy does not waste soldiers on ruins. He targets the fortress that still stands strong. You are that fortress. That is why attacks keep coming. But remember, the fortress is not only attacked, it is also defended. Heaven surrounds you. Angels cover you. And the spirit within you burns like unquenchable fire. And here is the deeper truth. Your light does not just defend, it disrupts. It dismantles strategies of darkness. Every time you pray, walls crack. Every time you worship, chain loosen. Every time you forgive, hell's grip weakens. You may not see the battle in full, but every act of obedience is like a sword cutting through the unseen. The roar of your light is not noise, it is authority. Hell hears it. Heaven affirms it. Creation longs for it. That is why silence is not an option for you. To dim yourself is to rob others of hope. To bury your flame is to leave someone else in darkness. October 9th will test whether you will stand boldly or shrink back. The traps, the distractions, the counterfeits, they all aim for one thing: to make you hide your light. But this is the moment to let it blaze, not with arrogance, but with confidence, not with pride, but with purpose. So, let this truth anchor you. Your presence is not ordinary, your light is not fragile, and your calling is not optional. The roar of your light is heaven's strategy against the darkness around you. When you walk in it, nothing can silence you. Stand, chosen one. Shine, for the glory within you is greater than the shadows against you. And when October 9th dawns, do not fear the darkness that gathers. It is only proof that your light is needed. Step forward knowing this: your glow was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to burn, to guide, and to roar against the night until victory breaks through. Chosen one. One of the greatest thieves of destiny is not rebellion or even failure. It is delay. Procrastination has stolen more crowns than defeat ever has. Every time you say, "I will obey tomorrow," the fire grows dimmer. Every time you push the whisper of God to the side, the distance between you and your calling widens. Delay is subtle. It does not roar loudly. It whispers comfort. Rest a little longer. There's always more time. And yet time is the one thing you cannot recover once it slips away. October 9th will confront this thief head on. It will reveal whether you will finally break free from procrastination or whether you will allow it to continue robbing you. Consider the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were wise and prepared their oil. 5 were foolish and delayed until it was too late. When the bridegroom arrived, the prepared entered the feast, but the unprepared found the door shut. This was not about ignorance, it was about delay. They knew what was required, but they thought they had more time. The same danger hovers over you now. You know what God has spoken. You feel the tug, the conviction, the urgency. But the temptation is to delay, to wait until tomorrow, until October 10th, until life feels easier. And yet the call of destiny is never about convenience. It is about obedience in the moment. As the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verses 9 and 10, warns, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest." The enemy does not need you to renounce your calling. He only needs you to delay it. 1,000 small postponements eventually equal a lifetime of missed moments. Imagine a runner at the starting line. The gun fires, but he hesitates. Even a 2-second delay costs him the race. No matter how fast he runs later, delay may seem harmless at first, but it destroys momentum. October 9th is that starting line for you. The signal will sound. The opportunity will open. If you hesitate, the race moves on without you. There was once a man who dreamed of writing books that would inspire generations. Each year he said, "I'll start when life slows down." Decades passed, and the pages remained empty. His dream was not stolen by critics or enemies, it was stolen by procrastination. This is why the Spirit is warning you so clearly. Procrastination is not harmless, it is a weapon. It convinces you that delay is safety, when in truth, delay is destruction. The door of opportunity does not wait forever. Think also of harvest time. Farmers know that once the fields ripen, the window to reap is short. If they delay, the grain rots, and the labor of months is wasted. October 9th is such a harvest moment. If you delay, the fruit may spoil. If you act, the barns of heaven will overflow. Do not be deceived. Waiting on God is holy, but procrastinating against God is dangerous. There is a difference between being still in trust and being passive in disobedience. Waiting in faith strengthens, but delaying in fear weakens. Your spirit knows the difference. Deep down, you feel whether your pause is trust or procrastination, and October 9th will expose it. This is your chance to break the cycle once and for all. Chosen one, the time for delay has ended. The call is not for tomorrow, but for now, to act, to decide, to step. Even if the ground still looks uncertain, faith is always a step forward in the dark, trusting that light will meet you. The weight you have carried all these years was never meant to crush you. It was meant to press you into obedience. Now you are being asked to choose. Will you fold your hands and wait until the moment passes? Or will you rise, oil in hand, ready when the bridegroom comes? October 9th will not wait for hesitation. It will be a day for the prepared, for the decisive, for those who refuse to let procrastination rob them again. Let this be the moment you rise above delay, never again bound by its chains. For destiny is not found in tomorrow, it is born in the choices you make today. October 9th will not bend to excuses or hesitation. It will reward the ready and bypass the sluggish. Do not wait for another sign, another push, another day. The moment is now. The crown is waiting, and the only thief left to defeat is delay itself. Chosen one. When crowns are given, they are not only signs of victory, they are also reminders of responsibility. On October 9th, the weight of your decisions will be laid bare before you. It will be like standing at a great scale, one side heavy with reward, the other with loss. And in that moment, what you carried in silence will finally speak aloud. This season is not neutral. It is a battlefield where eternity watches. Crowns and consequences are real. Crowns are given to those who endure, who remain faithful, who stand even when everything else calls them to bow. Consequences, however, fall upon those who trade destiny for comfort, who allow distraction and delay to rob them. October 9th is where these paths split. Think of a runner at the finish line. Beyond the tape is the crown, the medal, the celebration. But if the runner stops just before the end, the years of training, the sweat, the perseverance, all of it vanishes into disappointment. That is the tragedy of quitting too soon. And many fall here, not because they were weak, but because they gave up one step before the crown. The Book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11, warns us clearly, I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This is not about fear, it is about vigilance. Your crown is not cheap, it cost heaven everything. To throw it away for convenience is to despise the very reason you were chosen. But pause with me here. Crowns and consequences are not only for you, they ripple into generations. When you choose obedience, you hand your children, your family, and even strangers a legacy of faith. When you surrender to compromise, you leave behind confusion and chains for others to carry. This is why your decision matters more than you realize. Now, let us speak of something precious. Imagine a well in the desert. Every traveler passing by is thirsty, desperate for a drink. A well can save their life, but only if someone keeps drawing water. Only if someone is willing to maintain it. That is what this message is, a well in the desert. And every act of support keeps the rope strong, the bucket steady, the water flowing. That is why I invite you sincerely and gently. If this message is watering your soul, then let your like, your share, your subscribe be the way you draw water for others. Each action is like lowering the bucket into the well so that another thirsty traveler can drink. And if your heart leans even deeper, consider this: your donation is not a transaction, it is a stream feeding the well. It is like uncovering an underground spring so that the well never runs dry. What you release, freely and willingly, becomes a flow that reaches countless others you may never meet. Do you see it? This is not about obligation. This is about beauty. It is about becoming part of the stream that God uses to quench the thirst of weary souls. When you support, you are not paying for words. You are pouring water into the desert, ensuring the well does not run dry. And now, let me add something more. If this word flows into you like fresh water, write in the comments, "Keep the well." Just 3 words, but filled with meaning. By declaring this, you are saying, "I will not only drink, I will also protect the source so that others may drink." Your comment becomes a stone set at the well's edge, marking it as a place of life for all who pass by. There was once a man who thought his small act of giving did not matter. But years later, someone testified that a message reached them at the exact moment they were ready to give up. That message existed because one person had chosen to keep the well alive. The crown of that moment belonged not only to the speaker, but also to the one who gave. So yes, like, share, subscribe, comment, and if you feel led, donate. But let each act be seen, not as duty, but as devotion. Not as weight, but as worship. You are not forced, you are invited. And your choice, however small, is a piece of the crown placed on someone else's head. October 9th will not only measure what you avoided, it will reveal what you contributed. Were you content to drink from the well, or did you help keep it flowing? Were you satisfied to carry your crown alone, or did you extend your hand to lift another? Crowns and consequences. These 2 paths stand before you now. One leads to regret, the other to legacy. And your choice, your words, your actions, your faith will determine which side the scale tips toward. So let your heart answer. Let your spirit choose. And may October 9th find you not empty-handed, but crowned, with rivers of living water flowing from you to all who thirst. Chosen one, when the appointed day draws close, the weight of silence becomes louder than noise. October 9th is not only a test of action, but a test of stillness. There are moments in destiny when you must resist the urge to rush, to panic, to grasp, and instead remain steady while God does the unseen work. The greatest victories are often won in hidden stillness before they manifest in visible triumph. Think of Israel at the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army thundered behind them. The waves roared before them, and fear pressed against their hearts. Yet the command of God through Moses was simple: stand still, and you will see the salvation of the Lord. In that stillness, the waters parted, and the impossible became the pathway to freedom. Chosen one, you are standing at your own sea. Behind you is the weight of your past. Ahead of you, the unknown, and around you, the pressure to act hastily. Yet the Spirit is saying, do not let fear dictate your step. Stand firm. What looks impossible will open, not by your striving, but by God's intervention. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted on earth. Stillness is not passivity, it is trust. It is the act of surrender that says, I cannot move this mountain, but I know the one who can. On October, Tishath, when pressure rises, your power will not come from frantic activity, but from anchored trust. Think of a tree during a storm. The wind bends its branches violently. Rain pounds against its leaves. But the tree does not uproot itself in panic. Its strength is in its roots. It endures because it knows the storm will pass, and the sun will return. Your spirit is the same. In stillness, your roots hold firm, and when the storm subsides, you remain standing. There was once a man who lived through a season of endless striving. He tried every door, forced every opportunity, ran himself weary. Yet all his effort produced no fruit. Finally, broken and exhausted, he sat in silence before God. It was there, in stillness, that clarity came. Within weeks, the very door he had been chasing opened by itself without striving, without manipulation. He later realized the battle had never been about effort, but about surrender. Chosen one, you must remember this. The enemy wants to exhaust you before October 9th. If he cannot deceive you with counterfeits, he will drain you with striving. He will tempt you to move faster, to push harder, to wear yourself thin. But exhaustion is not preparation, it is sabotage. The Spirit calls you to enter the day with peace, not panits. Imagine a soldier before battle. If he wastes all his energy swinging his sword before the enemy arrives, he will be too weak to fight when the real battle begins. Preparation requires strength, and strength is preserved in rest. Your stillness is not weakness, it is wisdom. October 9th will be a dividing line. Those who panic will make hasty choices. Those who rest in trust will see doors open that no man can shut. The difference will not be in effort, but in alignment. Chosen one, you have walked through enough storms to know that God has never abandoned you. If He has carried you this far, why would He leave you now? Every valley you survived is testimony that His hand never left you. So why panic at this final stretch? This is the season to quiet your heart, to calm your spirit, to tune your ear to the whisper of heaven. Stillness is not idleness, it is sharpening. It is the silence before the trumpet, the pause before the breakthrough, the breath before the roar. So let October 9th find you not frantic, but anchored, not grasping, but grounded, not scattered, but steady. For in the stillness you will discover what striving could never give you, the hand of God parting the sea, the peace of God guarding your heart, and the glory of God lifting you higher than you dreamed. Stand still. Chosen one, trust the unseen hand, and watch as the waters open before you. And when the waters part, you will see that it was never your strength that made the way, but his faithfulness. The miracle will not be credited to striving, but to surrender. October 9th will prove this. Stillness is not losing time. It is gaining eternity. In waiting, you will witness what rushing could never unlock. Chosen one. October 9th is not only a day of warning, it is a day of unveiling. All the preparation, all the struggles, all the whispers you have endured in secret will converge in this moment. What seemed scattered will align, and what felt wasted will suddenly reveal its purpose. This day is like a curtain being drawn back. For years, you have only seen fragments, pieces of a puzzle that did not yet make sense. You carried promises, but lacked clarity. You held vision, but faced delay. And in your waiting, you often asked, why me? Why this road? Why this wait? October 9th is the day heaven answers not with explanations, but with demonstration. Consider Joseph again. From pit to prison, his life looked like a chain of tragedies. Yet in one day, he was lifted into Pharaoh's palace, and suddenly every wound had meaning. His betrayals positioned him. His rejection protected him. His waiting refined him. That is what October 9th holds for you. Not just survival, but revelation. The scriptures remind us in Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. And your pain was real. Your tears were real. But the glory to come will outweigh them all. On October 9th, the scales will tip, and the heaviness of the past will bow before the brightness of what God is releasing. Imagine a tapestry being woven from the underside. All you saw were knots, tangles, and threads crossing without order. But when the tapestry is turned, the image appears a masterpiece of beauty. That is your life. The knots of rejection, the tangled delays, the broken seasons when turned by heaven's hand become part of the design. There was once a woman who endured years of silence from God. Her prayers felt unanswered, her journey lonely. She thought she had been forgotten. But when the door finally opened, she realized that heaven had been aligning every step, protecting her from wrong turns and preparing her for the right moment. Her silence had not been absence, it had been orchestration. Chosen one. October 9th is not an end, it is a threshold. You are not walking into emptiness, but into fullness. The doors that seemed locked will swing wide. The questions that haunted you will fade in the light of what God reveals. And yet, do not misunderstand, this day is not magic. It is not a charm that erases struggle. It is an unveiling, a moment when preparation meets opportunity. Those who ignored the warnings will stumble, but those who have listened, who have aligned, who have guarded their hearts, will step into the promise prepared for them. Think of a soldier after long training, the drills, the hardships, the battles fought in obscurity, all were shaping him for the final assignment. October 9th is your assignment day, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. The fire that tried to break you has instead refined you into unshakable steel. The enemy will tremble, for he will realize that every attempt to destroy you has only strengthened you. What was meant for harm has become the proof of your endurance. What was designed as sabotage has turned into fuel. And here is the greater truth. October 9th is not just about you. Your breakthrough is a doorway for others. When Joseph rose, he did not rise for himself alone. He rose to save nations. The crown you wear is not just for display. It is for responsibility. You are called to carry others, to shine as a beacon, to extend the hand that once pulled you out of darkness. This is why your journey has been so heavy. This is why your opposition has been relentless. The weight you carried was never just yours. It was for those who will walk after you. Chosen one, let your heart be steady as the day approaches. Do not fear the unveiling. What is coming is not loss, but reward, not confusion, but clarity, not shame, but glory. And when October 9th arrives, lift your head, stand tall, for heaven will whisper what you have longed to hear. Well done. You did not quit. You endured. And now, the unveiling has come. And as the veil lifts, you will see the fingerprints of God across every chapter of your story. Nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the silence, not the waiting. All of it has been woven into glory. October 9th will not simply mark a date, it will mark you. From that day forward, you will never see yourself the same again. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this message. But this is not the end of your journey. October 9th has been spoken of not as a shadow to fear, but as a day of unveiling, a threshold where preparation meets promise and clarity overcomes confusion. You have heard the warnings, the encouragement, the truth. Now, the path is before you. Think of this moment like standing at the edge of a river. You can stay on the shore, reflecting on what you've heard, or you can step into the water and let it carry you forward. The choice is yours. And even in this choice, heaven listens. That is why I gently ask you to respond, not for me, but for yourself, for others who may stumble across this same well of words. If this message touched you, let your like be the ripple in the river. Let your share be the way the stream flows farther. Let your subscribe be the anchor that keeps you connected to the source. Each of these is not obligation, but opportunity. A chance to keep the current alive. And if your spirit feels stirred, go further. Your donation is not payment, it is planting. It is like pressing a seed into soil that you may never see again, but that will one day grow into shade for someone else. It is your way of saying, I want the river to keep flowing, not just for me, but for those who thirst after me. And here, one more act. Leave a comment. You may even write the words, I choose the river. Simple, symbolic, but powerful. By doing so, you declare, I will not only drink from this stream, I will flow with it. I choose life. I choose clarity. I choose to move forward. This is the beauty of it. None of this is demanded. It is all invitation. Just as love must be free to be true, so your response must be free to carry weight. So, chosen one, as you step from here into the days ahead, let your heart remain open, your spirit rooted, and your crown secure. And may your simple acts, your words, your responses, your generosity become part of the great story heaven is telling through you.